All right, welcome back everyone for sadly the last time of today. We have the last run of this marathon, but it's a great one to finish it off. We have Lego Harry Potter the years 1 to 4 by Chimkin and commentated by Wee Super. Feel free to take it away, guys.
All right, thanks, Nixo. Okay, so like you said, this is 1 through 4, and we're gonna get right into it since there's a really long cutscene to start us off. So, without further ado, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Alright, hopping into this run, if you were here for the LEGO Harry Potter years 5 through 7 run at the start of the marathon, a big thing that you'll see in the LEGO games is 1P2C, or one player, two controllers, where Chimkin is going to be controlling both characters at once. The LEGO games are co-op games, so he will be controlling one player with each hand in order to, multitask in certain puzzles, and that is a very, very big part of the run. And the first level here, one other thing to keep an eye out for is he's going to be trying to finish with 0 studs, which are the coins on the ground. This is the only level he's going to do this in. And it'll skip a bit of a status screen at the end of the level. So that's the two things to look out for in this first level.
Yeah. So, with this first level, we don't really have access to any of the spells yet. There's pretty limited on both the number of puzzles like they can put into the level, as well as the kind of skips and tech we can do. So this first level is not very strat heavy. It's mostly just doing 1P2C and routing the rooms correctly. But once we start learning spells in the lessons, we get into a lot more interesting stuff as the run goes on. First level is pretty straightforward though.
Yeah, so this game obviously does follow the first 4 years of the Harry Potter series. So we're gonna play Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Goblet of Fire. All 4 of them, and throughout the years we'll be learning more and more spells through lessons as we progress farther. So starting off, like you said, we don't have any spells, so there's not many tricks that we'll do, but as we unlock more spells, some of the spells will allow for some various glitches that you'll get to see.
Right. And if you were watching the 5 through 7 run by Frost earlier, in that game, you skip a lot of levels because you can jump between years. Unfortunately, that does not work in this game, but we do have to play through the intended route of the game. But it's not really all bad because this game has a lot more interesting tech in it, aside from just freeze clipping and skipping levels. So there's a lot of cool movement stuff we can do throughout this game that makes up for not being able to skip levels. We're about to start off the actual gameplay here.
So right away you'll obviously see he calls in his second player, which is Hagrid. Like I said, LEGO games are co-op games, so he'll be taking advantage of that feature, controlling both Harry and Hagrid, one hand on each player, rather than switching back and forth between the two. And you'll see here in Diagon Alley, he's actually going to be picking up certain studs on the ground. And the reason he's doing this, so you may notice Harry on the left here picks up these 3 golds while he is building this potion. And the reason he's doing that is he's going to be backtracking through Diagon Alley here. And like I said, he wants to finish this one level with 0 studs, and that is part of the process, picking up those studs now. And he's going to dump them off in a moment, so he doesn't pick them up later.
Yeah, 1P2C is pretty interesting. It's one of those things that actually takes like quite a bit of time to adjust to like getting your 2 hands to work independently, but it's actually not as hard as it looks usually. Some of them are pretty difficult, but after a while it's something you just kind of get used to.
And it's definitely, at least in my opinion, probably one of my favorite parts about running the LEGO games. All the LEGO games, that is the 1P2C, because some of the LEGO games are relatively simplistic, but 1P2C gives some games basically an infinite skill ceiling, because some of the things that you can do in certain rooms are so convoluted with each player that nobody can do them yet. And as the games become more and more optimized, we are implementing harder and harder 1P2Cs, and that's basically how it goes. No matter how long we run for, there's always a harder 1P2C people can look to implement. And it looks like Chimkin got very lucky with his stud counts here. He is less than 2,000 on player 1 and less than 3,000 on player 2. And you'll see that come in as an advantage here coming up, because this is where he is going to be dumping off all of his studs. He's going to be killing himself by jumping off the ledge here, and that causes him to drop a bit of the studs. Oh, looks like he got a little bit unlucky there. Alright, there we go. Player 1 on 0 studs. Now he's going to be dying with player 2, getting him down to 0 studs. And meanwhile, while he's doing that, he's just doing the puzzles in the room with the other player. And now he has 0 studs on each player, and like I said, that is going to skip a status screen at the end of this level. And like I also said, that is the only level that is a concern, because in the other levels you can just skip right through them, but in the first one they decided you cannot skip through the status.
That's pretty fortunate too, because if you had to get 0 studs on all the levels, that would be not very good.
Yeah, and 10 minutes of the run would be watching status screens. Because yeah, this game does have 6 levels per year, so 24 levels. We will be kind of skipping one of them, but we'll get there when we get there. And so yeah, we got 24 levels and lessons kind of scattered throughout the levels, where we will learn spells and other skills that a wizard would need to know. But yeah, that's the first level done right there.
Yep, Harry is now a wizard. We'll be on to Hogwarts here in a second. But we have another cutscene before we get there, so not quite yet. This is what Justin was talking about. Usually there'd be like 2 extra status screens that would play here that would show like all your studs accumulating into your bank, as well as the true wizard status. But if you get 0 studs, it skips both of those, which saves like a good 10 seconds.
And that first level is so simple. It's just kind of running through the level, so that's basically the only thing really worth talking about there. You don't have to get 0 studs, but you're taking about a 7 to 10 second time loss, depending on how many studs you pick up. So you may as well do that in the level. It's basically just a free time save if you jump off the edge in that the vault. And this game has some quite long cutscenes at the start of the run here, so we are just going to be kind of sitting back here for a bit, watching these cutscenes roll out.
It does get better though. It's mostly the beginning of each year kind of starts with some long cutscenes, but after you get through the first level and some change of each year, they kind of spread out a little bit. But the beginning is pretty heavy on cutscenes.
You know, Lego cutscenes are pretty good though.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. So this first lesson we're going to is the Wingardium Leviosa lesson. So we're going to have a bit of movement through the castle and a few puzzles, and then we'll have that lesson where we learn the first spell that we have. Because right now we have a wand, but all we can do with it is just shoot. We can't use any actual spells with it. Ron also has Scabbers, which is important. Use Scabbers to solve some puzzles. And also for a piece of tech that we'll get into here in a minute, once it becomes relevant. Pets are pretty broken in this game. We're almost done with the sorting ceremony here.
Yep, and once this cutscene finishes here, we will be placed inside Hogwarts Castle, which we will be running throughout quite a bit throughout the run to get to everywhere we need to go. And as we get farther and farther into the run, you can tell that the developers were maybe running out of ideas, because you start running through the castle more and more, as you get farther and farther into the run. But for now, we are making our way down to the Wingardium Leviosa lesson, like Chimkin was saying.
Got a feed the dresser a pair of pants there,
Yeah.
so he gets out of the way.
We got a few roadblocks, such as a hungry dresser.
Yeah, this game actually has a really cool hub. There's a lot of skips that you do in the hub as well, which I think is one of the better parts of this run. You have to rotate the staircase here, though, because you need to go down to the main part of the castle as opposed to up by the room where Fluffy is. One of the small routing things that we do a lot throughout this run is in the various rooms, like your player 1 or player 2 will spawn closer to where you want to go, so it's fast for, like, you know, saving small amounts of time in every room to move with a specific player. You see I was like swapping which player I was using in each of those rooms, because one player spawns closer to the next room than the other. This is the lesson for Wingardium Leviosa here. You have to save some students that are accidentally put on bandoliers by Ron. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then once we do that, we're certified by Hogwarts that we know how to use Wingardium Leviosa.
Yep, so here's the first lesson. He is just going to be rescuing these 3 students here. This is a very, very simple lesson. There's going to be one little strat he's going to do at the end where he combines 2 of the students being rescued so that the camera pans play at the same time. But besides that, you'll see right here, obviously continuing that 1P2C, because it's going to have player 2 finish the left side while player 1 does the right side.
That's the whole lesson.
Yeah, and as you saw, he brought up those 2 weights at the same time, so that the 2 camera pans played together rather than doing each one independently. That actually saves like nearly 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's a kind of a big deal if you can combine cutscenes like that. They don't all work like that, some that you can't combine, but you can, it saves a lot.
But now it's time to head over to the second level of year 1 out of the dungeon, and we'll get to see probably the first like big glitch of the run right at the start of the level. He is going to complete a couple castle puzzles here. What he's doing with Ron up top, you actually don't need to do right now, but he's just doing it for later so that door is open next time he comes through the castle. And you'll also see him do that with this, yeah, let's see, yeah, so he's coming up to this gold statue here, and this is a gold statue that you need to build for a level in year 3, and he's going to be periodically building the gold statue throughout the run, just kind of as a small optimization while Harry was doing the puzzle to open the door to the Grand Hall. Ron was starting to build the gold statue.
Yeah. So now's a good time to talk about pet warping. So if you have Wingardium Leviosa and a pet, which we have both of those now, and you target your pet character with Wingardium Leviosa while they're putting down their pet, it teleports to the pet to like the default location of the room, which sometimes and usually is not very useful, but occasionally it is useful, like right here. And there's actually a special kind of pet warp called a human warp, where if you put down a pet while you're falling, it warps your person instead. That's what I just did there. And we're going to do that throughout the run, because obviously teleporting is pretty broken in speedruns.
And that was the big glitch I was talking about. He teleported past the entire first half of the room.
Yeah.
And just skipped it entirely. Now he's just going to do the second half of the room and basically just continue as normal, just completely ignoring the first half.
the troll is between Harry and Ron right now. You're supposed to interact with the troll, and he goes along the room while you're solving puzzles, but since I teleported past the cutscene trigger, he's just stuck at the beginning of the room. He's not going to bother us until the next room.
Do we have time for a quick donation before the fight?
Yep.
Cool. So we have $11 coming in from DSB Mike saying Lego plus HP POG. And I would agree with that.
Hard agree from me as well.
Yep. All right. Do you want to explain this one?
I was actually going to talk about pet jumping since we didn't talk about that. I kind of forgot that was a thing. So in the first room, halfway through, I did a thing where I placed down Ron's scabbers, and then I recalled scabbers, and then I got a double jump. That's not used too often throughout the run because it gets obsoleted by another trick, but basically what's happening there is after putting away scabbers, you have a brief period of time where you can you have both scabbers jump as well as like Ron's jump, and you can just get a double jump, which allows you to gain extra height and distance.
Yeah. So this troll fight here is actually completely scripted, with the only exception being at the start of the fight. You can actually get the troll to aggro and start the phases of the fight about 6 seconds earlier. He did miss it here, unfortunately. It's kind of a trick that's not very understood on how to consistently get the early aggro. But yeah, now the rest of the fight, he is literally just gonna kind of stand here and let the troll go through the cycles and just do the 3 hearts of damage and finish the level. It's a very, very easy ending to this level.
Yeah, not too much going on in that boss fight other than the early aggro right at the beginning. That's the second level. So after this, we have a series of, I think it's 5 lessons in a row. Might be 4. And then before we get into the third.
Yes, 5 lessons. And the next lesson is going to be for Lumos, which in my opinion is probably the most broken spell in the run for probably would be an unexpected reason. But it allows for a very, very broken trick to be done called Lumos jumping, which you'll see basically for the remainder of the entire run.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was talking about, that obsoletes pet jumping. And you'll see I'm going to do another part of the statue there with Ron. So we now have 2 of the 4 pieces of the statue done. We'll do more of it later on. The pet warp and the pet jump is both things you can do in 100%. For the most part, most skips in this game don't really break 100%. There is like 1 or 2 that do, that like soft lock your file from 100%, but like 90% of the skips in this game don't really cause issues for 100%ing it, which is cool. We'll talk about one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, this lesson here is basically just once again testing your 1P2C ability. You have to get these 5 star pieces, and as you can see, got a little bit flustered there with Harry, and that's part of the challenge of being able to, divert your focus to be half and half on each player. So yeah, grabbing these star pieces with both players at the same time, and this is definitely one of the harder lessons to do with 1P2C, and as you can see, it's some problems are happening, but looks like nothing huge. Cleaned it up very well. I'm gonna get the last 2 pieces placed and finishing up the lesson. And we now have Lumos, and first Lumos jump of the run will come after this next lesson, the strength potion. But the intended use of Lumos to kind of clear out the vines, as you can see, but it has many more uses.
now we're gonna learn the strength potion, which is not used all that much, since we try and skip as many potions as possible, but it is a required part of like the scripted plot of the game, so you do have to play all these lessons, even if you don't use the ability that you get. We're just gonna... Basically, the way potions work in this game is there's 3 ingredients to the potion, like, hidden throughout a room, and you have to put all 3 into the potion before you're able to drink it, so you'll see those are the 3 ingredients Snape has there. The puzzles in this lesson are, like, really simple, because there isn't too much that we've learned yet in the game.
So while we're solving the puzzle, I guess we can have another donation, which is by Markovich, which is $10, and he just says, "Hi, friend." So thank you for that.
Hello, friend. Appreciate that. That's strength potion. Pretty straightforward lesson there. It's the 1P2C. But the next split is actually an optional lesson. We don't have to do this, but it gives us an ability that breaks the game. That's a Lumos jump right there, by the way. Basically what I did is I activated Lumos, and then I swapped off it, and I could double jump, which allows us to get up to this area that we're not supposed to get into until year 2 early. And this is the lesson for Transfiguration. It's an optional lesson that you don't have to do to beat the main story, but the spell Transfiguration is really broken, and we'll see that the next level we play. We'll see the ability we gain there, basically. Till then, we just have to shoot some rats here.
Yep, so all Lumos is just a height glitch, which allows you to double jump rather than single jump, and obviously the game is designed around you being able to only do single jumps, so you can skip so much of the game with Lumos jumps, because you can just double jump right over everything you want, basically.
That's Transfiguration done. Pretty straightforward lesson there, like most of the year 1 lessons. Now we're going to do another pet warp here. This one just saves movement, since the default location in the spell hall is over here. And that's a normal pet warp, unlike the one we did earlier. We're going to do a mix of both of those throughout the run, both pet warps and normal warps. Or, people warp, excuse me, not normal warp.
Right here, we're going to see Chimkin once again do something in the hub for later in the run. He's going to build this statue here, and right when the camera pan to the statue... oh, okay, you got it.
I did get it.
Right when the camera pan starts to play for the statue, he loads the next room to interrupt the camera pan and stop it from playing. And he just barely got it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, right there, he was building something that he's going to use in year 2, because he had to run across the room anyways, so may as well do it now.
We're not going to enter that room again until year 2, and we need it like right at the beginning of year 2, so doing that now saves like 15 seconds for year 2, so we might as well do it now. Now this is the Lumos Solum lesson, which just upgrades Lumos to allow us to take out an additional kind of vine. This is mostly just like filler content for the game, I think, but you know, it's another lesson. It's like pretty good. It's not that bad of a lesson.
Yeah, and in this lesson, if you don't know what you're doing, this room is very, very chaotic. But like, there's all sorts of plants all over the walls and stuff, but you really only have to destroy one plant and shoot one thing on the side. And once you do that, you just shoot all the flowers that start growing, and that's all you have to do. All these other plants on the wall, all these other objects you can shoot, you can just completely ignore. Now just build the cart. Free run.
And that's Lumos Solum. This first episode, we kind of just roll through these lessons pretty quickly. They're all really short, and since there's a long stretch of no levels, we don't really have like a longer level to interrupt any of these, like cutscenes, or longer gameplay. Most lessons are like pretty much like a minute of gameplay or less.
I guess the game had to get you set up with all these lessons so you could actually do stuff in the levels, because the first 2 levels you really couldn't do that much, so
Right.
I probably wanted to make sure you had enough content for the rest of the year 1 levels. Okay, this is broomstick flying, where you learn how to fly a broom.
Not a very used ability in this game. We only ride a broom like 3 times, I think, but it is part of the game, so we gotta do it. Boss fight with a gargoyle here. So, its health bar was like covered by the split screen, so you couldn't really see it there.
Now, shooting these flowers can be a little bit annoying, but looks like it went pretty well.
Yeah, not too bad. Now we rescued the Rememberald for Neville, and now we're gonna join the Quidditch team. That's the end of that like gauntlet of lessons I was talking about. Now we're gonna get back to the actual levels here. Onto the Quidditch pitch here for Jinxed Broom. Oh.
We're not gonna play 5 levels in a row with no lessons.
Yep. So we're going to do another pet warp here. That's another room that has a useful pet warp location. We're going to do that one a couple more times throughout the run.
And like Chimkin said earlier, most of the pet warps and like probably 75% of the rooms will just spawn you outside the map, just in the middle of nowhere. It takes you to 0, on the coordinates for the map. And it just kind of depends whether or not the developers built the actual map at 0, or maybe a little bit offset to the side. And in most cases, the map is not at 0, or it is, and the pet warp just isn't useful.
A lot of times it like just takes you to like the spawn of the room or like backwards in a room, and that's not super cool.
Oh look, we got some broomstick flying.
Oh, let's go.
Right here, we're going to see another bit of preparation for future years. While Harry runs to the Quidditch pitch, Ron is going to snipe these pumpkins.
Oh, oops.
Oh.
Well, we rescued the student in peril, I guess.
Yeah. You don't need to rescue the student in perils in any %, but
Yeah.
At least that kid will be happy. But yeah, he cleared out the pumpkins there, which will be useful in year 3.
So, beginning of this level, we're going to use Transfiguration for the first time in the run. And what that does is you can transform your player characters into a frog or a rat. And when they are a frog or a rat, their hitbox is a lot smaller than the normal size. And if you are an animal and you run up against a wall, when you transform back into the human, you partially clip into the wall, and you can infinitely jump up the collision of the wall. So we're going to do that right here at the beginning of the level, and then we'll see it again in the next level after this. Skip most of that level. Like I said, it is an optional spell, but it saves so much time throughout the run that it ends up being like a minute faster to do the optional lesson, given all the skips you unlock from having Transfiguration.
Yeah, and transfig jumping is definitely a really cool looking skip, and like I said, we're about to see it right now. So gonna shoot Hermione with the transfig, which turns her into either a rat or a frog. Go up against the wall, wait 10 seconds for it to expire, and now you're clipped in the wall and you can kind of jump up, and now we're walking on some invisible collision to skip the entire opening room of the level. like I said, we're going to see lots more of that strat throughout the rest of the run.
What? Oh. Out there. Interesting.
Alright, and once again, we're going to get to see more Lumos jumping in the end room here. We got 2. But first, player 2 is going to reload the previous room to interrupt that camera pan once again. It's faster to reload the room twice and skip the camera pan of that staircase compared to watching it. Here we go, second Lumos jump, very nice.
So
Both Lumos jumps first try there.
that level, as you can see, is very broken. We just skipped like pretty much every puzzle. That's the whole level, by the way. It's just the 2 rooms there. There's a lot that you're supposed to do in the first room, but you don't have to do any of it. Oh, at the beginning of the level, I went into the menu and hit the dropout button. All that does is it removes player 2 from my control so that it's just being controlled by NPCs. We do that pretty rarely throughout the game because normally you can just leave player 2 tagged in as a split screen character, and like that's not a problem because they can just sit down and you don't even have to worry about them like in this room. But sometimes it really messes with the camera, and it's like way better to just drop them out, or you have to drop them out for something. So that's why I did that there.
Right here, we're going to get to see another sort of skip in the hub for later on in the run. So this bridge here, normally you're just supposed to fix it, but what he's going to try to do is get past the bridge without fixing it, and that's very nice. Get a first try, and now the bridge is still broken, and that is going to be very, very helpful for later on in the run whenever you come through this room, because the broomstick that is on the left side normally despawns once the bridge is fixed, but now the broomstick will just stay there, and it'll allow him to do more of the people warps that we saw in 1-2 in that room, and you'll get to see the benefits of that after this level.
Yeah. This is the restricted section level, so we're gonna go investigate the Philosopher's Stone, even though there's been like nothing in the game so far that has indicated we'd be interested in the Philosopher's Stone whatsoever. We're gonna go look into it in the restricted section. These games don't really follow the plots very well, especially this movie. This movie doesn't really, you're just kind of doing Hogwarts stuff, and then suddenly, you know, we gotta learn about the Philosopher's Stone. But like I said earlier, this level's also really broken by Transfig. So you're gonna see that. We're gonna do it twice in both the first room and the second room of this level, and we're gonna skip like all the puzzles again.
Yeah, I believe this first room skip here is the second most time-saving Transfig strat.
Yeah.
Saves about 40 seconds, something like that.
See if I can get this first try here. This one's a little tricky. Ooh. Fell down.
Oh. Ah, darn.
There we go. I think I need to jump one more time there. Oh.
Yeah, this one is very annoying.
One of the downsides of these tricks is it takes a while to reset them up.
Oh, did we get it? Ah, darn.
Thought I clipped into the wall there, but...
I would say, in my opinion, this is actually probably the hardest Transfig strat. Generally, they aren't very difficult, but this is probably the hardest out of what is generally an easier strat. Because you have to kind of do this strange jump around the wall here to skip this first room.
This jump has like, or this wall has like 2 parts to it, so you have to jump over like a dead zone.
Should be good. Nice.
You kind of have to jump like over an empty space, over another wall, and then hook around into the little cubby at the end. kind of a bit of a tricky one. This next one's really easy though.
Yeah, luckily this next one is very, very easy. And the reason that first one is hard is not because of the actual transfig jumping. It's once you reach the top when you have to kind of jump around the wall like that. Because normally, like as you'll see here, it's literally just pressing the jump button, and then once you reach the top, go over the wall.
I thought Filch was gonna mess me up there, but he de-aggroed some, but he did that. That would have been unfortunate.
So that transfig is a nice 10 or so second time save in that second room. And now we're on to the final room. And shoot the 2 bats, and that's 1-4.
Another pretty short level gameplay wise, because you skip everything. And the next level is also going to be a level that does not have a lot of gameplay because we skip everything. But in the next level, it's going to be with Lumos jumps instead of transfig things. Next level really showcases how broken Lumos jumps are.
There's going to be 4 Lumos jumps in this next level, and in my opinion, this level is, in my opinion, the hardest in Year 1, and probably one of the top 5 hardest levels in the whole game. Lots of very well-timed Lumos jumps. Did you
Game crashed?
Did you crash? Oh my gosh.
Let's hopefully that's the only one. That was actually a good time to crash because the game just saved. But it doesn't actually lose that much time.
Oh man.
Let's go ahead and play that again. I was only like 10 seconds of gameplay into this split, so not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's a good spot to crash because it's gonna put you right back to where you were.
Yeah. So okay, back to where I was. All right.
All right. Didn't crash. Nice.
Hopefully that's the only one of the day.
Yeah, that's one of the rooms where it's semi-common to crash. A lot of the rooms towards the middle of the castle, you can just kind of randomly crash in, and there was one. All right, right here we have another one of the people warps where Ron calls in his pet while Harry uses Wingardium on him while he falls off the ledge, and it warps the player to the origin of the map, which just happens to be right next to Hagrid's hut, which is where we needed to go.
Yeah.
And that trick is a little bit more complicated than it looks. He is holding like a certain direction while out of bounds when he jumps back up. It's definitely not easy, but he does get it first try.
You actually spawn out of bounds and you have to get a jump off of the collision of the wall to get back in bounds. It's kind of hard to tell because the camera doesn't adjust until you're like back in bounds. But we're going to do that trick a couple times since we have a lot of things we want to do in that area of the hub. Hagrid's hut, the entrance to Hagrid's hut is a really common place to start levels. There's like 4 of them that start there.
And actually, that trick wasn't actually found until very recently because for the longest time, it was just assumed to be impossible because normally when you call on your player, like you said, he's out of bounds and he just kind of falls out of the world. And eventually we realized there's actually a direction you can hold to be able to jump back in bounds. So now to a strat we'll get to see probably close to 7 or 8 times throughout the rest of the run. So here we go, 4 Lumos jumps in this level. First one, very nice.
And that, what I just did there, you can kind of call in player 2 and it like drops them in past a normal like a normal puzzle sometimes. It's pretty rare that that works, but it does work in this level. So normally your companion players won't be able to like join you past past like a part that you haven't completed.
Nice.
But in this level, for some reason, you can drop them in and they warp up top with you.
It happened so quickly that we kind of missed it, but look, you got all 4 jumps first try. That was actually really, really good. The third jump there is probably, arguably, the hardest Lumos jump in the game, or like one of the hardest, and nailed it first try, got the last one first try. That was very, very clean.
Yeah. So blink and you miss it, but that's the entire level. There's supposed to be a lot of things you're supposed to do that makes it a lot longer casually, but you can just skip all the puzzles by Lumos jumping. So it's pretty short. Without cutscenes, I think that level is only like 40 seconds or something, optimally. And we're almost done with the first year. We only have the one level left here. Now we're gonna go face off against Professor Quirrell, even though he's been pretty much absent from the game so far. We figured out that he's the bad guy. And one thing that we do in this game is we intentionally restart the game in a couple of places to skip cutscenes. And one of those places at the end of every episode. So after you finish the last level of each episode, the game saves and then it plays an additional cutscene. But after the save, you can restart your game and then like completely skip watching that last cutscene, which usually saves quite a bit of time because the last cutscene at the end usually is pretty long. So you're going to see that later on. We're going to intentionally restart the game to skip that cutscene. But first we have to actually play the level.
Yeah, and unfortunately this level is probably one of the most boring out of all the ones in year one. But there are some small optimizations that we will look out for.
Unlike the last 3 levels, you can't really skip any rooms in these games, or in this level, with Lumos jumps or transfig jumping. So we more or less just play this the intended way, but quickly. There's a couple of minor strats we do, but for the most part, it's pretty much just fast, casual gameplay. Oops.
Oh, got caught in the vine there.
I have not done that in a while.
Gotta make sure to hug the outside wall. There we go. And right here, he's gonna put the bucket on the statue and then shoot the key. Shooting the key triggers that camera pan, and he kind of combines the 2 animations there by doing that in that order. Now he is entering this next room where he plays the life-size game of Wizard's Chess, and he's going to be shooting the pieces twice to skip the animation of the pieces attacking. So you see right here, he shoots the piece and it basically just skips the animation, and that's pretty beneficial throughout this fight. Depending on what piece you shoot, it saves differing amounts of time. But I know this queen skip right here, shooting the queen right there, saves quite a bit of time. And now we built this piece. And then shoot this piece to skip that animation. And it looks like they were all pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. That was not too bad. Chess is kind of annoying. It's the targeting on the chess pieces is hard to get down.
Yeah, you can't auto-target the pieces when you shoot, so you have to kind of bullseye it with the spell. And the angles in the LEGO games are usually not too generous.
Another legendary boss fight here that involves
this is why the level I consider to be pretty boring, because this fight is completely scripted and it's like a minute and a half long.
It's faster to have both players in because you can use magic on the heads to send them back to Voldemort faster if you're targeting them with both players. So that's why I'm doing it with both players here. That's really the only advantage though, other than so it saves like very small amounts of time, but it is faster.
I mean, at least the boss fight looks pretty cool. You know, you got fire in the room and everything like that. Yeah, LEGO games not just this game, but all LEGO games are pretty notorious for having not the best boss fights. You know, everything that isn't boss fights is pretty fun to play, but the boss fights are usually in a speed run pretty boring.
Yeah. And this game definitely no exception. Though I will say this game has better boss fights than Harry Potter 5 through 7. The boss fights in that game are really not great. And that is the end of year 1. Just got one more cutscene here, and then we'll restart the game. We'll be in year 2. Yes, Myrtle is definitely the worst boss fight in this game, hands down. We'll get to that one here in year 2, but that one is probably one of the least fun splits in the entire game, if not, like, unarguably the worst one. Alright. So, like I said, we're gonna restart our game now. Skip a cutscene there. I have a window file explorer open so I can see when the game saves, so I don't need to wait for like confirmation that the game saves.
And that actually saves quite a lot of time.
Yeah. The end episode cutscene, like that one there, that one probably, like, that cutscene's probably like a minute long that we just skipped. So that probably saves like a good 45 seconds. I think we restart the game 5 times, so there's once at the end of each episode, and then there's 2 times after a lesson where the game saves right at the beginning of a cutscene, and then you can restart the game to skip the remainder of the cutscene, and that saves time. So we're going to see one of those actually pretty soon, middle of this episode. But first, more cutscenes with Dobby. Dobby's pretty interesting in this game because he shows up here to terrorize Harry, and then he shows up in the Quidditch level to terrorize Harry, and then he does not show up again for the rest of the movie until the end cutscene of the last level, where you give him a sock. So, he doesn't really do anything in this game positive. He just kind of terrorizes Harry, and then gets freed from the Malfoys. You know, that's alright. We got more important stuff to deal with, like giant snakes and spiders. And
I love how this scene has like a security camera on the neighbor's house watching Harry.
I don't think I've ever noticed that before. Oh, I completely forgot that we have to play 2-1. I was ready to do the first lesson, but we have like a whole level first. And
yeah, this is a slower part of the run.
yeah.
But 1-6 and 2-1 together are a little bit slow paced, because 2-1 is kind of similar to 1-1, where you just kind of run through the level. I don't really know why they decided to do that again, but I guess they had to start year 2 somehow.
It's a little more interesting with the puzzles, but they're still not very great, and there's not really any skips in this level either, at least not ones we can do in any percent. There is a piece of tech that we don't unlock in any percent that involves buying the spell Accio. I guess since we don't have too much else to talk about in this split, it's not a terrible time to just talk about that. But it's a spell that costs 4 million studs, which is a lot in this game, and it allows you to do a piece of tech called Accio clipping, which like gives your characters no clip, which is pretty broken, but not broken enough to justify grinding for 4 million studs, which is a lot of studs, like I said. It also crashes your game, and crashes the game audio a lot, which is not very interesting.
Yeah, if you watch a category that uses Accio, you may hear the game audio make some popping noises.
I think in-game audio engine just completely crashes sometimes when you do it.
Luckily, you don't need to worry about that in this category.
Yeah. That's why this is the good category. Accio clip. But I bring that up because you can skip this room we're coming into with Accio, but we can't skip it without it. So we have to play this room the intended way. But if we had the spell that activated the no clip, then we could just walk through the door at the end of this room and skip this whole room. But not able to do that in any percent. Even in like 100% where you're going to be buying that anyway, like you don't get that spell until after the 80% portion completes just because of how expensive it is and how long it takes to acquire that much money.
If we are stuck in a bit of a downtime level, I guess I can use the chance to remind people that it's indeed the last run of the marathon. So if you have any donations, keep them coming. We're very close to that 3K, which would be pretty insane. So yeah, please do keep them coming.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome if you guys hit 3K on this marathon. That's honestly crazy. Shout outs to everyone that's donated.
Yeah, it also beats what we had last year by like a lot. It's really insane.
It's awesome. Something else I want to point out. You might wonder why we're not doing like a transfig jump right there to like skip that part. The reason is transfig just doesn't work in some levels. Like, if you use the transfiguration spell and target someone, it just like doesn't turn them into an animal. We don't really know why it works in some levels and doesn't work in others. But as a general answer, like if it looks like we should be able to skip something with transfiguration and we don't, it's probably because it just doesn't work in that level. Which is unfortunate, because if it worked in every level, it would save probably like an additional minute and a half at the least over what it saves right now. There's a couple levels that would really benefit from having that, but yeah, it just doesn't work everywhere. Just Lego things, you know. Gameplay mechanics just not working everywhere. So similar to year 1, year 2 starts with quite a bit of cutscenes here, not just in the first level, but also right after it. But after this, immediately after, we're gonna do another pet warp. Then we're going to head over to learn about mandrakes.
Yeah, and I would say in terms of the speedrun, the mandrake handling split, which is what we're on right now, is probably one of the most optimized splits in the speedrun. It is very, very simple, and at most you'll gold it by like a couple of frames if you do. And basically everybody's gold is the exact same, with maybe like a couple tenths of a second difference. So this is a very, very optimized split.
This is a fun split. So, that room that we just spawned into, you're supposed to build like a strength potion, but it lives within the same room as this main outdoor area we were in year 1. So we can pet warp out of that room and skip the entire strength potion we're supposed to be meant to build. Which actually soft locks your game from 100%ing, because doing that strength potion opens the giant like clock tower door in that courtyard. So if you never do that strength potion and pull the strength handle, you literally can't get to that room or the owlery, which is off of that. So yeah, my file can no longer be 100%ed, but that's alright. We don't care about that. We're just doing if you remember from year 1, when we entered the big courtyard that we just pet warped into, we were talking about how we shot the 4 things in the fountain and we'd use that for later. This is the later that we were talking about. There's now a skip we can do here. We do another pet warp, and we ride the plunger vehicle that spawned in from that. And we're supposed to, like, move this mandrake, but we can actually just push this guy out of the way with the plunger vehicle and skip that part of the hub there. We do have to go into that room a couple more times in the run, but that guy's only spawned in year 2, so it doesn't really matter. We're also supposed to do a mandrake puzzle in this room. You might hear him scream here, just for a second there. But you can limbless jump off of the little flower pot thing there and skip having to clear the mandrake out of the staircase. That's another one of the hub skips we're going to be doing a lot, since pretty much every lesson for the rest of the run is up on this balcony in the Defense Against the Dark Arts rooms. So anytime we want to go do a lesson where we learn a spell, we have to come up here, and pretty much every single time, well actually, yeah, every time we do that, we're going to be doing that Lumos jump off of the flower pot there, instead of clearing out the staircase. So this is the Immobilis lesson, as evident by the pixies. We have to learn how to name pixies here. That guy was kind of in a bad spot.
Yeah, there's some annoying RNG in this lesson with kind of the pathing that the pixies take. And right there, that pixie on the right was kind of in a bad spot.
It kind of, they're not very consistent with the way... Oh, wow, yeah, there's this guy, too. That was not excellent RNG.
And I guess one thing worth mentioning is you may notice that when we're kind of just walking through the castle or whatever, we're always jumping. It's not actually faster to spam jumps, but anywhere that we're going up a slope, it is faster to jump. So we just kind of jump everywhere, just in case, you know, the floor might have the slightest incline to it, and if that's the case, then it would be faster to jump, so we just kind of jump anyways.
Now we're going on to another Quidditch level here. This is the level where Dobby tries to kill Harry. And we're going to be trying to prevent that from happening from the bleachers. After this cutscene, of course. So this is going to spawn us out on the bridge, and we're actually not going to do the warp that we did on the way to Forbidden Forest in the last movie. Reason we're not doing that is because it's not faster if you're heading over to the Quidditch area, since we can take the broom on the bridge, which has slightly faster movement speed anyway, and the warp kind of spawns you in a bad spot in the next room, so for the case of going to the Quidditch area, we're not going to do that warp, but any other time we want to go out here, I guess except for when we go to the Black Lake in year 4, we also don't want to do the warp, but any other time other than those 2 places, we're going to use that warp to get out there. Faster to do the warp instead of doing the movement.
And this level here has some really difficult jumps and tricks. Definitely another one of the really difficult levels in any percent, and we'll get to see quite a few of the Lumos jumps right at the start here. This first room is really where the challenge is in this level.
This is a pretty fun level, though. I really like these levels that are mostly like movement based, that are pretty broken with a lot of skips. Those are like my favorite levels in this game. Saw a number of them in year 1. This is another one that's like that. It's almost done because now we realize that Dobby's the mastermind.
This is the hard jump right here. This is Didn't get it first try. Second try, very nice.
Alright. That jump is pretty tricky. You can do a Lumos jump for it, but personally, it's more of a preference if you want to do a Lumos jump or not. If you're doing a Lumos jump for distance, you kind of have to start your jump from further away. So it doesn't actually give you as much extra distance as you might think. I don't like doing Lumos jumps for distance. I know that a lot of other people do, but it's more of a preference thing, really. A hard time targeting Dobby here. Oh, I did not. Bit of a slow room here, but that's not a big deal. That's the first part of the room. If this was a year 1 level, that might be the end of the level, but we also have a part of this level where we have to go fix Harry's broken bone in the hospital wing. Gilderoy Lockhart doesn't know what he's doing. Moves the bone from Harry's arm. We're gonna have to make a potion here for Skelegro. Boneless Lego arms look pretty. We need to gather the 3 potion ingredients here. There's 2 of them in this room and 1 of them's in the next room, so
You do have a precise skip here where normally the skeleton will start dancing right there and it kind of locks you in a camera pan. So if you load the next room right when that camera pan starts, you can interrupt it, and that's what he did.
That camera pan actually, like, aggressively long for no reason. It's literally just a skeleton dancing, but it's like a 15-second camera pan. So it's really punishing if you miss it, but luckily there's a setup for it that makes really no reason to miss it, which is nice. That's the end of the second level here. Now we have a few lessons in the middle. You'll see that a lot of the years, they tend to have their lessons towards the beginning of the film, and the last couple splits are just levels. That's really, they want you to learn the abilities and then, I guess, test how well you know the abilities afterwards. You do have to do the thing with the plunger again, since the Mandrake and the students blocking the door are still there. But they'll despawn after we finish this year, so that's the last time we'll have to do that, even though we do enter that room again later on. You remember from earlier, we were doing parts of the statue last time we were in this room. We're going to do more parts of the statue now. We have 2 more pieces to do, so this is the second to last one, and our way out from here we'll do the last one. This is like the dueling club that Gilderoy Lockhart sets up here, and it features a very, very intense boss fight at the end that's very, very input intensive and hard. I'm being sarcastic, of course, but we'll see in a second what I'm talking about. The fight versus Malfoy is very stressful. First we have to fight some dummies.
Well, so the door that they come out of is random, so it's quite remarkable that 6 times in a row it came out of the left door.
That is some interesting RNG there. Not that it matters, it's like literally the exact same.
I think like 8 out of the 10 came out of the left door.
So if you want to see true LEGO boss fight game design in action, check out this. This is some peak dueling here. I've been really hyping this up, so I hope it lives up to the hype here. Insane. Incredible game design.
One more hit.
Wow.
Oh my god,
Pretty
he did
crazy.
it. Oh my gosh. That's remarkable.
I love that. This is another cutscene that we're going to reset the game to skip, because you see here that the game's going to start saving like during the cutscene, so we can actually restart the game and skip that cutscene, which ends up saving like 10 seconds there. That's not a super long cutscene, but it is faster to watch it. That's the cutscene where Harry throws a snake at Malfoy and learns that he knows how to speak Parcel Tongue. And as a result, we're going to be given the Parcel Tongue ability here, which now allows us to go access the Slytherin common room. And you see the camera started to change there. That I skipped another camera pan. So that's actually the entrance to Hogsmeade, so we don't need to go over there until year 3, but now that's open, so we don't need to do that puzzle later on. We have another cutscene skip here coming up. After we do this little puzzle where we build this snake entrance to the Slytherin common room.
Building that snake can be annoying.
Yeah.
So that went pretty well.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the transition and then use the panel as on. Normally what happens there is when you use the panel, it instantly triggers like a 20-second cutscene of us figuring out that we need to learn how to brew Polyjuice Potion so that we can enter like the Slytherin common room. But if you don't use the panel until you're leaving the room, it actually skips the cutscene entirely. Excellent. But one of the downsides of that pet warp there is it spawns you like inside of objects, which kind of is hard to get out of sometimes. Like I struggle a little bit there, but still is faster. Now we're learning Polyjuice Potion. Technically a lesson, even though it's not an official one being hosted by the Hogwarts staff.
I guess it's worth mentioning we do have a opportunity for a frame-perfect trick coming up, where you can potentially drink the potion 6 or 7 seconds earlier than when you're supposed to. So we'll have to see if that pans out.
I am not very consistent at this frame-perfect trick. This is
Yeah,
the
there's
first
not really
of the
any
two.
visual cue or anything. Let's see if he gets it.
I'll get it.
No. You basically have to. You have 1 frame between placing the last potion ingredient in and when the character icon unlocks, where you can drink the potion early. And like I said, there's not really any clear visual cue or anything for it. You just kind of have to wing it. And unfortunately, we did not get it this time, but that's okay.
Like you said, it only saves 6 or 7 seconds, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Now we're Justin Finch Fletchley. And the whole reason we want to get Justin Finch Fletchley is so that we can access this Hufflepuff exclusive area of the hub, but it's actually not Hufflepuff exclusive, because if you can Lumos jump, you can skip the whole thing. So this area on the right up here, you're supposed to clear off this portrait and then use the portrait, and you have to be Hufflepuff to use it, but you can just Lumos jump up there instead of making the staircase come out. We don't actually need Justin Finch Fletchley at all, but he's just happy to be part of the team.
Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yep.
Alright, perfect. We have $5 coming in from Snollet Ice saying, "This game is awesome. Good luck, Chimkin. Chimky cool." Which I would love to see that, which I assume is an emote in chat if anyone has it.
Yeah, that is one of my emails. Thanks, Snollet. I appreciate that. Glad to see some of the LEGO guys are making it out to watch this. Appreciate the support for the marathon from everybody. So we just drugged Crab and Goyle, and now we're gonna use their hair to pretend to be them. It was like a week ago, Justin. What are you talking about?
You know. Anyway, gotta make this potion here, you know. Pretty Harry Potter stuff.
Yep. Doing some potions.
And this is definitely one of the more complicated 1P2Cs,
Yeah.
where each person is kind of doing their own thing in terms of building this potion.
Do you want to talk about pet recalls, since that's coming up soon here?
Yes, so coming up here, we're going to see a trick called Pet Recalls, where basically Ron is going to take out his rat, and Chimkin is going to move the rat so that if you were to draw a line from the rat back to Ron, the line would intersect with the door that leads to the next room. And when you recall the rat will intersect with that door and hit it. So you'll see he'll jump down with the rat here, recall it, and the rat intersects with the door in between Ron and the rat, and it'll load the next room, skipping this entire room.
That's
And
a
very, very short room.
Yeah, it's a really cool piece of tech. It's unfortunate it's not used more, just because it's such a specific circumstance that allows you to use that. You have to be able to get behind the door transition in order to use it. We will do it a couple more times throughout the run, though. This is a pretty straightforward room here. Just kind of waiting for the room to naturally end there. So we must jump on top of the snake head while you're waiting. Up next, we have the Moaning Myrtle boss fight. So this next level is actually a pretty unique level. Normally, you'll see after each level, there's like, Nearly Headless Nick is leading us to the next area with like the studs, and that shows you like what we call the story progression and where that is pointed to. So normally what you have to do is you have to complete every lesson or level completely before the story progression moves to like the next chapter. But for some reason, in the 4th level of Year 2, the story progression gets moved after the first room of the level. So all we have to do here is beat the first room of the level, and then we can exit the level, and it'll point us to the next level. So we don't need to beat the part of this level that involves us going into Tom Riddle's diary, which allows us to skip a cutscene and like 2 whole rooms of movement. But first we have to do this boss fight, which is RNG. So Myrtle's gonna throw some various pieces of toilets at us, and some of them are not interactable. So you see the first 3 are gonna be interactable every time. But for the 2nd and 3rd wave, you can sometimes throw metal objects at us, and when she does that, we can't interact, like that one. So it's random if she throws one of those at you, and every time she does, you just like lose a cycle. So hopefully we don't get too many of those. So far, so good.
Yeah, I believe in this first set, it's a 40% chance of getting metal. Or, and then
I think
believe in the
it's
second.
40's the second one. The first one I think is 25%.
Oh yeah, 25 for the first one, then 40% for the second one.
Yeah, and that's on every throw, so you can very easily get a lot of them. That's only the second one so far, though, so far we've been actually doing pretty well. And there's also a frame-perfect skip at the end of this. You want to talk about that a bit, Justin?
Yeah, so when you kill Myrtle here, a cutscene will play, and you may remember how we were saying that once we finish the first room, we can just exit the level and it skips, and this is really unlucky with
This
the
is
metal.
awful.
So the first room is deemed finished when the cutscene starts, not when the cutscene ends. So if you manage to pause on the first frame of the cutscene, because that's the only frame you can pause on, it looks like you didn't get it there. It is possible to pause on the first frame of that cutscene, and if you do, you can just exit to Hogwarts and not watch this cutscene, and the story will progress. Because I guess the level is deemed complete when that cutscene starts to play. So unfortunately, we do have to watch the cutscene, but the second it finishes, Chimkin is not going to continue the level. He's just going to exit right out of it, and for some reason, the game will progress. And this is another example of something that does soft lock your file from 100% completion. If you exit the level right here, your file is doomed from this point forward.
No longer get any of the collectibles in that level.
Yeah, that level will not show up as playable if you try to go and replay it. But regardless, the story progresses forward without beating the whole level, and that's the only level in basically any LEGO game that's like that, where you can just leave it early and it counts as complete.
Yeah, so but you know, we take those. That saves like 2.5 minutes or something, so definitely happy that that works. I'm actually really surprised I got that. I started pressing pretty late there, but we're gonna do that warp again since we're going back into the Forbidden Forest to go talk to Aragog here. This is actually a pretty similar level to the Forbidden Forest level from Year 1, in that we have Fang in our party, and we're gonna do another drop-in warp like we did in the first episode to get Fang up top, up to an area without beating a puzzle. There's also a couple of Lumos jumps to do as well. First, Hagrid has to get arrested. Also, this level also features a vehicle segment, which is pretty. It's definitely a vehicle level. That's what it is. As people are aware, vehicle segments of video games tend to not be the greatest.
So this opening 2C here is quite a tricky one, where you have to bring both Harry and Fang through this first room. And we're going to be doing, just like in the first Forbidden Forest level, we're going to be doing another drop and warp, where we're going to be basically tricking Fang into thinking that we're further into the level, causing him to warp up where he normally wouldn't warp up. So we're skipping a little bit of a puzzle here by Lumos jumping up here with Harry, positioning Fang in a certain spot. And we do have to watch this camera pan here real quick, but we'll put Harry in a certain spot, Fang in a certain spot, and if we go ahead and drop out Fang, and then attempt to recall him in, he will go ahead and warp up top like this. And that's important because we need him up here to dig, right here.
Yeah. That's a nice, there is actually a way to get Fang up there with some jumps, but the jumps are not great. Fang's an interesting character because he can't, he has to move forward to turn, so it's kind of hard to position him in the correct place and in the correct direction. You can't really adjust very well, which makes doing parkour with him a little tricky. So it's nice that drop and warp exists, so we don't have to worry about doing Fang parkour. Gonna go ahead and drop out here. I have to fight Aragog, and we do that by throwing spiders back at him. After we clear out a group of them, we'll see a black spider spawn in, and you can actually just push the spider right underneath him, and what you're supposed to do is like pick it up and twirl it around and then throw it at him, but if you push it, you can just press the Leviosa button and it'll hit him instantly instead of having to worry about twirling it around. That saves a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth mentioning this fight is also completely scripted. Like the amount of spiders that come down is not RNG. It's always the same amount before the actual spider you need comes down. But we're about to enter the epic driving section.
This is pretty great. Gotta love the vehicle physics in these LEGO games. Hopefully we don't see too much like flipping around after hitting objects. Though, if you pay attention to Player 2, they sometimes have quite an adventure in the background. Harry's on a motorcycle, because there was a motorcycle in the forest, I guess. Yeah, he just spawns in on his Great start, Harry.
Is he behind?
Oh yeah, he's just way back there. He's not even on the screen anymore. Yeah, he's having the time of his life.
I remember one time I was playing this level and I had a visual glitch where the entire forest was pitch black while I was driving, and I could not see where I was going. This is quite the interesting string of rooms here.
Yeah.
It looks like nothing went terribly wrong so far.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't like gotten caught on any bogs or anything, but Harry is having a really hard time. He's just like instantly gotten like a mile behind me every time. And that's that level completed. Follow the spiders. So with that, we only have one level left in this episode. All we have left is the fight with the basilisk. We're gonna return to the bathroom. Well, actually, we're not gonna return to the bathroom in the hub, but we will return to the bathroom in the level. Actually, golded that split. Cool. So this is another level that features a long scripted boss fight with the basilisk. Got that to look forward to, but first we have to go solve some puzzles in the bathroom. Level starts when we enter the Defense Against the Dark Arts room, though, since we need to go talk to Gilderoy Lockhart first. He joins our crew in this level. We're gonna do a trick right at the beginning of this level where we jump off of some collision on the side of a bathroom stall. This game has some really strange areas of collision in places, and this room is no exception. We just kind of can jump up the side of a bathroom stall here. This is just any percent, so we're just doing the story here. 100% takes almost like 6 hours, the speedrun does. So,
That was pretty good. Normally, sometimes jumping up that wall there can be a little bit buggy, I guess.
yeah,
It does not let you come up, but that was very quick.
I'm happy to see that. That is quite an odd wall there. 100%. Not really a great marathon category, because not only is it long, but it also has a lot of crash potential in it. I know I've watched one of the other runners this game, T-Fresh, do quite a few hundo runs where he's crashed multiple times and lost like 7 minutes to a crash before. That's not the not really the sort of thing I'd like to show off in a marathon personally, but
Yeah, also, I would say there's quite a lot of boring sections in 100%. Much more so than any percent. Where you're just kind of running through the castle doing mindless tasks to unlock characters or whatever it is.
This is probably one of the longest rooms in the game that we could skip in theory, but we can't in any percent. Because the transition to the next room is just inside this set of sinks here. We don't have any way of getting into here, so we have to beat this whole room. We're going to do a pet warp to skip part of a camera pan here. This is kind of a funny skip, because the rat's going to fall into the transition during the camera pan.
Keep an eye on the rat above the sinks. He's just gonna kind of go wait for it. Whee! There he goes, and he'll hit the door for us.
This is actually a pretty long room that we skip with a really simple Lumos jump. There's like a lot. You have to like fight an octopus or something. There's a lot that goes on in that room, but we don't have to do it in this round. Now we have to fight Basilisk. This is a pretty lengthy boss fight here. We have to build a strength potion, and we have to stab him with a sword, like in the movie. But we have like a series of phases we have to go through with building the strength potion, which is what makes this level so long. This is one of the longest splits in any percent, if not the... Actually, I think this is the longest split. I don't think any other split is over 7 minutes long, and this one's 7.5. Unless I'm forgetting one. This whole fight kind of exists on cycles. One cycle can't complete until you put the potion ingredient of the previous cycle in. So you want to prioritize getting the potion built as quickly as possible. I actually wanted to take that death with Harry there, since it's pretty easy to die on this third one, and him dying there doesn't really matter, so being at full health here is what I want. I missed the cycle there because it was a little slow. Okay. Didn't die though. That's what I wanted to avoid. I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but you can cancel the animation of drinking the strength potion by shooting them right after they drink it, because there's a moderately lengthy animation that plays once they drink the potion of them like getting buff. So you can skip those animations. And I'm going to turn off desync here because there's a trick that requires high FPS to skip a small puzzle in this room. This is the only FPS dependent trick in this run though.
Yeah, I guess to clarify, vertical sync, so when it's turned on, your game is capped at 60 frames per second, and by turning it off, it just allows your frame rate to go as high as your GPU is capable of handling, so it's probably around 200 or 300 frames per second right now, which, like Chimkin said, is a requirement to do this little trick right here that kind of makes him warp through the floor. I don't know why that's the case. Maybe you do, but regardless, you have to... Uh-oh. Oh, that's unfortunate.
I've done my practice run earlier, too. I don't know what that's all about. I've, like, never had a problem with that before.
But yeah, you have to have your frame rate uncapped in order to clip through the floor like that, for whatever reason. Which does skip a pretty big portion of this room. And stab the snake, and year 2 is finished.
Yep, that's the end of year 2. And this is quite different than years 5 through 7, because in this game we only have VSync off for like maybe 10 seconds of the run, but in that game we have it off for literally the entire run. Like everything in that game is like frame rate dependent. All the freeze clipping to get through walls, but in this game there's only the one trick.
And you may have noticed, once he turned VSync off, he did the trick and immediately turned it back on, because playing this game with uncapped FPS is not a good experience. Transfig jumping just doesn't work. You get less height from normal jumps and Lumos jumps. A lot of the objects you pick up off the ground will kind of spaz out, and the game generally is just unplayable when you have VSync turned off. So he literally is turning it off, doing that trick really, really quick, and then immediately turning it back on, because you do not want to have it off in this game, because it really messes with a lot of the mechanics to the point of the game basically being unplayable.
So that's the end of year
since
2.
we're- oh, sorry.
Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
it's just, yeah, if we have time for a donation, I'll probably go for it, because it just came in and it's quite a big one. So we have $20 from ChessWiz, also just saying Chimki cool. People seem to like the emote.
Yes, get that.
Yep, thank you very much.
So, I reset the game again to skip the cutscene at the end of year 2, and now we're on to year 3 with a solid, like, 3-minute cutscene to start off the episode here, where, like, the first 30 minutes of the movie happen. This level is different than the first level of the first 2 episodes, where both of those were very straightforward and simple. This level actually has a lot of skips and complicated rooms in it. It's probably one of the hardest levels in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, second room of the level, in my opinion, is easily the hardest 1P2C in the game.
Yeah. Doing one-handed Lumos jumps on player 2 while doing stuff with player 1 is not exactly easy. And that's, I think, the only player 2 one-handed Lumos jump I do in the run, because it's not exactly something I want to be doing. But, you know, first we have to go through all this, and we also have a boss fight right at the beginning of this level as well, which is like most of the other boss fights, in that it's mostly just on auto-scroller, but that's alright. It's kind of a tease, too, because there's a trigger out of bounds in the first room of the level that skips the room. It would skip the whole boss fight, but currently we have no possible way of hitting it. It would save, like, probably a good minute if we could hit it, and it's just, like, sitting in the doorway, so it's, like, right there, but we don't have any way of hitting it right now, which is rather unfortunate. Maybe someday we'll find a way to skip the Monster Book of Monsters, but as of right now, we can.
Yeah, it's super, super close, but so far away.
Yep. I think you can see the door right when we spawn, and it'll be right on the right side. The trigger's literally just right inside that door, but we don't have any way of getting it into there without, like, cheat engine.
Yeah, and we'll get back more into those out-of-bounds doors when we get to year 4.
Yes. There is one that we can hit. We are very happy that we can hit that one. But we'll talk about that once we get to it.
For now, we have this scripted boss fight in classic LEGO fashion.
Have timed this part right here, this 21 seconds of waiting for this animation to resolve. Nothing you can do to speed it up, you just gotta wait for it to go. Luckily, the second and third heart don't take as long with their animation. That first one, pretty long. Alright, now with this room out of the way, we get to the real beef of the level.
This is the very difficult 1P2C room that we were referring to. So there's a lot going on here. So with Harry, he's going to bring Harry over to the right side of the room to get one of the pieces for the potion. While Hermione is going to get another piece of the potion on top of the train. This is where he said he's trying to do the one-handed Lumos jump, which is a little bit tricky. There we go, gets up. So Hermione's grabbing the one potion piece, Harry grabbing the second, and while Harry is making his way back to the backside of the train, Hermione is going to start building the cauldron for the potion. And Harry's going to put the potion piece in and go collect the third piece. And while Hermione grabs the piece of the potion, Harry's going to build the strength handle. Hermione's going to drink the potion, and Harry's going to cancel the strength animation, and Hermione will pull the lever. So lots of stuff happening with both players there.
Quite involved room there.
And that requires really, really good independent focus of each player.
Once we get on the train, we have still 4 more rooms of this level, and 3 of them have skips in them, and it's actually a pretty cool sequence because all of the skips are different. Here we're going to see another pet recall like we did middle of year 2. So we can hit this trigger here, skip that room. And then we're going to do a transfiguration strat in next room, where, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, where you can use transfiguration on player 2 and hit hit the trigger for the next room there.
And this room can be a little bit weird just because of how close quarters it is. You know, as you can see, that chest decided to attack Hermione just because he was a little bit too close.
That's gonna hit, I think. I thought that a little early. So in this room, oh, it did hit. In this room, Lupin is scared by the moon, but and he's the only character that has Expecto Patronum, but you can actually just target them all the way from the other side of the room, so you don't even need to do the puzzle in that room. It doesn't matter that Lupin's scared of the moon. Bypass all of that. Sorry, I don't know why my follower notification's going off. I didn't put it into this scene, but apparently it keeps going off. Sorry about that.
So I guess we're on to Ridiculous now.
Yeah.
The next lesson.
This is a spell I think we only use like twice in the run. It's not very used in the story levels, but you have to do it anyway. Game.
I guess something interesting about this lesson is he's actually going to be doing this lesson with 1 player rather than 2, which I believe is the only lesson where we're going to see something like this, because he's going to be switching back and forth between players to skip various animations, which obviously you can't do if you have both players called in. You can't switch because you only have 2 playable characters in the main part of this room.
You saw in the cutscene there, the canon reason for the game that Harry did not learn Ridiculous was because Malfoy locked him outside of the lesson.
So So like right here, he switches. So he targets with Hermione, and from the time the bolt gets shot to when it reaches the boggart, whatever it is, Chimkin will just switch characters, and it interrupts the animation.
I don't know why the fighter kind of just vanished there for a second. But, there we are. We got ridiculous now. Now Harry decides to rejoin us. Shadows over.
Now it's time for another lesson.
Sorry, go ahead.
This next lesson is divination. One of the strangest lessons in the game from I guess like a technical standpoint. The way this lesson behaves when you finish it is very interesting, and I'll kind of explain it in a moment when we finish it. But for now, when we enter the lesson, we're just gonna watch this cutscene here to introduce it, and then we just need to move the 3 cups to the center of the room. That's what the objective of the lesson is.
It doesn't actually unlock an ability either. It's just kind of here. Like, no ability is unlocked. And, like, if we found a way to skip this somehow, I don't think it would affect us anywhere else in the game.
Yeah, that's kind of what's weird about this lesson. Oh,
I have
the puzzle on the right side. Yeah, that's one of the weird things about this lesson is you'll see when we finish it here, we get a gold brick rather than actually like learning the lesson. And another thing you may notice is that when the cutscene plays, the game is saving. So you might ask yourself, well, if the game's saved right now, why don't we restart the game to skip the cutscene? And the reason is because if we do, it puts us all the way back in the room where we did the ridiculous lesson. So it doesn't save time to close and reopen the game here to skip the cutscene, just because it puts you in a different part of the castle that we don't want to be at.
I am notoriously bad at these children's memory puzzles in these games. There's not too many in this run, thankfully, but I probably messed them up more than like any other runner of LEGO games. I am really bad at remembering the order. And it is kind of difficult to do that, like, while 1PT, to be fair. And you'll see, I mentioned this earlier, but the guy that was blocking that door in year 2 is no longer there, so we don't have to worry about using the plunger to bypass that area. He just vanishes after year 2 finishes.
Yeah, so we were saying that the train room in the first level of this year is the hardest 1P2C room in a level. This lesson right here is definitely the hardest 1P2C in a lesson. This is Buckbeak handling, and it's by far the most open landscape type lesson. You're in a huge kind of open room where we need to get some drumsticks for Buckbeak. I guess he's hungry or something. So we had to go recover these drumsticks, and it's a very convoluted 1P2C to do this optimally. And this is one of those rooms that everyone does a little bit differently. There's different routes you can go in this room, but they're all about the same speed, so it's just kind of up to preference.
Yeah. Oh, these are 2 of the 3 chicken wings we need to grab. I'm actually gonna place this one down. Basically, you want to do like 1.5 chicken wings with each player. Since if you do a full 1, or a full 2, excuse me, with any of the players, oops. If you do a full like 2, you're gonna have a player that's like way lagging behind.
That pixie might cause some
problems.
issues.
Oops.
Okay, it looks like the pixie was kind enough to leave you alone.
Oh, okay. I guess Harry's gonna be floating now.
Now, this cutscene, on the other hand, we will close and reopen the game to skip because it'll actually put us in a good spot after we skip it.
Yeah. But we'll actually try and play the cutscene again, but because we've already started it, it'll let us just skip it right away. We don't have to worry about actually watching that cutscene. That's the cutscene where Buckbeak attacks Malfoy, I believe. So it's actually important plot-wise for later in the episode, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume everyone here is familiar with the Harry Potter movies, so we probably don't need that important exposition there.
We are gonna have to do this bridge skip again here. In the run, you go left to right across the bridge on many occasions. You only go right to left twice, and the first time was back in year 1, and that's the second time you go right to left on that bridge. So you only have to do that that bridge skip 2 times, and all the other times you're in the room, you're going left to right. So you'll either just ride the broomstick or do the warp.
I think it's something like you go left to right like 8 or 9 times, but you only go the other way like twice, like just instead. I do think that's the other one's like 8 or 9 times though, which is pretty crazy that all those other times it just teleports you back across the castle.
Yeah, and it's actually very fortunate that it turned out that way because 1, it takes time to do that bridge skip, of course, and 2, the bridge skip is kind of an annoying trick. So it's nice that you only have to do it 2 times.
You remember from earlier in the run, we opened the half the Hogsmeade here over on the left. So now we don't have to do that puzzle here since we've already opened this. Go directly into the level. One of the advantages of 1P2C that you're able to do stuff like that incrementally, where it theoretically doesn't lose any time versus having to sit there and do it all at once. This is probably one of the cooler levels in the game, in my opinion. There's a lot of skips. You're going to see a lot of platforming skips here in Room 1.
Technically, so you see all these orange blocks here where you place platforms, but he's going to skip half of them just by doing well-spaced jumps. Skip the bridge with the well-spaced jump. Skip the second platform here with the well-spaced jump. And a Lumos jump to skip the end part here. Very clean first room.
Yeah, that's a fun room. That's one of the movement rooms in this game that's just very satisfying to do, especially when everything goes well like that. Oops. Not on the right.
Yeah, but this is another very challenging level, and that is a pattern, I guess you may have noticed in year 3, is year 3 is a very difficult year. Arguably the hardest of the 4 years in the run.
Yeah, I would say so.
But we're back to doing transfig strats, and is this the first transfig strat of year 3, or did I miss one?
There's the one in 3-1 where you hit like the trigger. It's not like a traditional one.
First transfig jump of year 3, and in year 2 there's actually 0 transfiguration strats. So it's been a while since we've seen them, and now we're about to do another one right now.
Yeah, so you can actually skip this room without transfig, but the jump is not very. Actually, probably the hardest Lumos jump in the game. Most people choose to just not go for it, since it only probably saves a couple seconds. Given that you can do the transfig strat instead. But before transfig was found about a year ago, everyone used to do that jump. And that skips a whole boss fight with Malfoy and also a cutscene. Malfoy becomes like a snowman tank or something. And it actually is like 2 minutes of gameplay. It's probably one of the longest boss fights in the game. It's like unbelievable how much time it takes to do it casually. That was actually a pretty good Hogsmeade though.
Yeah, and I guess while we're in the cutscene, kind of a fun fact about the game is you may have noticed at the end there we kind of had to watch that camera pan of the snowball rolling down the hill, and just throughout the run, there's a lot of these little camera pans that we had to watch, and it's actually possible to skip them if you take the USB of the controller plugged into your PC, and if you yank the plug out of your PC, the camera pan will get skipped. But we decided as a community to avoid damaging the USB ports in the PC that we are not going to allow that strat. But it is something that exists in the game.
Yeah, and it actually saves a lot of time as well. But it's not very fun to do.
Yeah, it's generally not the most accessible strat. Small little pet warp here to cut off some of the movement in that room.
Although we go through that room quite a few number of times, that's the only time when you're actually able to do that pet warp, though. Most of the times we go through there, either we want to go up the staircase to the right, or the staircase isn't there, so we can't do the pet warp. That's the only time when it's actually viable to do it. Run. It's kind of unfortunate, because it does save like 5 seconds to do that, but that's the only time. This is a pretty fun level as well. It has a decent amount of 1P2C, and also an interesting trick where we despawn Filch later on. We'll explain when we get closer to it.
This is another one of those very 1v2c heavy rooms.
This
right
is a
here,
pretty fun one, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're gonna make a potion.
And this is another level where transfiguration doesn't work. If it did work, we could skip this room, but it just doesn't work. So. Something else that doesn't work in this level is split screen, at least in this room, which kind of is interesting for this room since want to stretch the camera in split screen, but it doesn't let you, which makes the routing for the 1p2c a little strange. Alright, if you want to explain the filch here.
Yeah, okay, so in this room here, Professor Filch is kind of on patrol, and what we're going to be doing is what is called Filch de-aggro, which we're going to lure Filch as far left as we can here without going too far, because if we go too far, he'll just not chase us. But we go as far left as possible, shoot the cat so he lets go of us, and we run into this corner to maximize the distance between us and Filch, and if we do it just right, Filch, I guess, will de-aggro and we can complete the puzzle to the end of the room.
The game actually just, like, despawns him because he's too far off camera. So, if we went back to the left there, Filch would have just not been there anymore. And that's the whole reason why we're able to skip that room like that. That's the whole level.
Yeah, in this end room here, there actually is a very, very difficult Lumos jump you can do to skip the end gate, I believe.
Yeah, it's a VSync off strat, I think. I don't know too much about it. It hasn't been meta yet. I'm going to probably investigate it a bit more. Alright. Another lesson coming up, the last lesson of year 3.
Yeah, you may have noticed as we get farther and farther into the run, the lessons become less and less common, because, I mean, at this point we've already learned a decent amount of the spells. There's only 2 left. Right. So, like in year 4, there's only 1 lesson, while in year 1 there was like 5 or 6. last lesson in year 3, and following this lesson we have a really cool level.
Yeah,
So-
probably one of the coolest levels. This is another lesson that's a pretty complex 1v2c. There's a lot of different spells you need to use. The goal here is to kill 5 Dementors, but we have 2 characters we can use to do that. But we have to actually kill them all with Harry.
This is another room that has some interesting 1v2c routing. Lupin's job in this 1v2c is basically just to find all the chests and break them open while Harry runs around and just kills the Dementors.
Harry has to be the one to actually kill the Dementors for it to count for the lesson.
That was pretty clean.
Yeah. There's a newer route there that another runner popped their eyes. I was doing, actually got a gold with it first. That's I think at this point, Ron no longer has Scabbers. This is, I don't know if it happened there, or if it happens in the beginning of this level, but Scabbers is obviously Peter Pettigrew, and Ron no longer has access to Scabbers after this level for sure, but I think it's already happened. Now we're on to probably one of the most complicated skips in the game. I'm going to try and explain it with a visual using my webcam here. So we're going to fight the Whomping Willow here, and we're going to do a trick to skip the whole fight. So if my hand is the Whomping Willow, there's this little spot right in front of it that has a transition in it. It's like a hole, and there's 3 vines on top of it. And the normal way that you beat the level, or beat the room, is you do 3 phases of the Whomping Willow fight, and 1 vine goes away each time. But there is a transition that's active in there, that if you can hit it early, you can skip the whole fight. And we can hit it early using a pet recall. So like I said, the transition is vertical in the hole, which means you're supposed to hit it from the top going down. So because we need to hit it from the top going down, what we need to do is we need to put a player under the floor, out of bounds, and then have them put down a pet, and then get the pet back inbounds on top of the transition, so that when it gets recalled, it goes through the transition, it hits the player. Hopefully that made sense. We're going to try and do it now. This skip was coined Angry Tree Skip by the person that found it, because they don't know very much about Harry Potter. Obviously we're skipping the Willow, so we don't want to do that. Do you have anything else to add, Justin?
It sounds like you basically got it. It's worth mentioning that this is a very precise skip. Once Chimkin's out of bounds here, he needs to cut back in for an exact amount of time so he can get these glitchy jumps on an invisible wall. If he goes too far in, he'll fall. If he goes too far out, he'll fall. It looks like he got the perfect height there. So he's going to run with the cat, do the pet recall, and hit the transition, skipping the Whomping Willow fight. And that is the biggest time save in the game with Transfiguration. And the reason why Transfiguration route became a viable thing. Was it early this year, I think?
Yeah. People started running Transfiguration earlier this year. It was found last October, but originally, because you have to do the lesson that isn't part of the normal gameplay. So adding that in is strictly time loss.
We have another transfig strat right here, where he's going to clip through these vines. With the smaller character, he gets kind of underneath the vines like this. And then when he switches back, he'll just be inside them, just go right through them. And we did miss another jump he did to skip a portion of the room there, but that's already passed. We won't take too much time explaining that, but he did skip an entire portion of that room as well. So far, this is actually off to a pretty solid start.
Yeah, this has been a really good split. Both the first room and the second room there are rather difficult. The rest of the level is not very hard, but the first two rooms are two of the harder rooms in the whole game, and those both went really well, actually. So in this room, we just have a basically auto-scroller boss fight, where we are trying to get Peter Header to come out by making a giant mouse trap, just like in the movie. Definitely remember this scene. So this is more or less just an auto-scroller. And then the last room we'll skip with a couple of Lumos jumps. Supposed to build like a whole strength potion or something in the last room, but there's some pretty simple Lumos jumps you can do to skip it all. Yeah, there isn't a glitchless category for this game. I don't think it would be a super interesting category, in my opinion. The glitches are kind of what makes the game fun. I would guess that, like, skips in general probably save, like, at least half an hour in this game. Maybe that's, like, it's hard to tell.
I think they don't actually save as much as a lot of other LEGO games. They only save, like, 20-30 minutes in this game, I think. I know there was a runner who had some pretty optimized glitchless single-year runs from like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were like 5 or so minutes slower a piece, which I guess is 20 minutes overall. It's probably more like 30 minutes now, though.
Yeah, there's a couple of levels that are just incredibly broken with glitches, and without them, they're actually quite long. We're gonna do 3 Lumos jumps here. They're all really simple to room. Supposed to do a strength potion to get up to where I just was at. One of those guys got kind of stuck behind me there. That's the end of that level. I'm definitely golding that by a significant amount. I did not have very good gold there, and that was a pretty good split.
That was a very clean, like we were saying, that's definitely one of the way harder levels in the 90% run, and Chimkin, not only did he get everything first try, but also had some very, very fast execution in the level as well.
I don't think I can PB in Potterthon. I think from this point I have to beat myself by like 40 seconds to PB, which is probably not going to happen. If that happens, I'd be very surprised. But this has still been a pretty good run for a no reset regardless. Yeah, this is like a 10-second build, that's crazy. Definitely, like Justin was saying, one of the hardest splits in the run there.
Yeah, very, very clean.
Coming off the back of one of the hardest splits in the run, we now have, I think this is the easiest level in this episode. There isn't too much going on here other than just like fast 1v2c, but there is a couple of skips we'll talk about when we get to. This is also where we get the time turner in the game. These games aren't the best at conveying like plot, so if you aren't familiar when you play this game, you probably don't really know what's going on here, but I'm gonna assume everyone that's watching this knows a fair amount about Harry Potter. So this is back in time here. We're redoing the whole segment of the game we just played in the last level from a different perspective. This will focus on trying to rescue Buckbeak, and then the level after this is actually more or less like unique just to this game. Like, it doesn't really happen, like it happens in the book and in the movie, but it's a lot less in the movie and book. It's like the scene where they break Sirius out of the tower, which is like 30 seconds of the movie. I don't remember how long it is in there, but it gets its whole level in the game. I guess because they didn't know what else to do with the last level.
This first room here is one of those rooms that is really, really hyper optimized, and basically every runner will finish within less than a second of each other. It's just a lot of small little puzzles here to free Buckbeak.
Pretty straightforward room there.
I guess that means that I can use the chance to, once again, one last time remind people that Potterthon is close towards the end. It's like less than an hour left, so if you have any last-second donations, make sure to get them in now. You can also still vote on what hair color Pruden is gonna get at the end of this, in this poll, so if you want, go ahead with that as well.
Awesome. It's crazy. Everyone's been so generous so far this event. Shoutouts to everyone that donated and everyone that's supporting. It's really cool to see donating marathons get so much support. Oops.
Yep. Oh.
I accidentally targeted something else and I lost my transfiguration there. We're gonna do another transfiguration strat here to get up top early.
I believe, is this the last transfiguration of the run?
Oh.
Yeah. So that's the last transfiguration of the run you'll get to see.
Yeah, year 4 does not have any. Mostly because the year 4 levels are either heavily scripted or already like incredibly broken. So it wouldn't really do anything in that episode. Year 4 is kind of weird because like 4 of the levels are like every room has a skip, and then the other 2 are like none of the rooms have a skip. But it's a really fun episode. I think Year 4 is probably one of my favorite episodes just from like a strat perspective. So we'll see that here. 2 more levels left in this episode, and we'll be on to that. Do another Lumos jump to skip a puzzle here. I don't actually know what the casual way of doing this is, because like this is one of the most obvious Lumos jumps in the game, so I've definitely never even looked at what the casual way of doing that is, but I know that he skipped something there. Oh, we gotta kill 6 horrors here. The end of that level. Straightforward one. Just gotta go save Sirius Black, and that'll be the episode. Sirius is in the Dark Tower here, so we're gonna do, go fly to him on Buckbeak here. This level has actually a lot of interesting rooms in it, and also a boss fight, of course, with like Mega Dementor, I guess. I don't know, it's definitely not like a canon character, but there's just like a Supreme Dementor at the end of this level. Oops.
Yeah, this first room here, we're just gonna pickaxe what I guess is ice off these vines and basically skip everything because of this conveniently placed barrel. For whatever reason, just jump up top, skip the entire puzzle there.
Yeah, pretty convenient barrel there. That is a bit too high for a Luma's jump to get up here. There is one you can do kind of off of like a series of objects, but it doesn't really save time over just doing the bucket thing, which is way easier anyway.
Yeah, so you'll see here, you have to force these gray platforms. You're just gonna kind of jump on them before they even lock into place. Because you don't have to wait for them to lock into place. You can just go as soon as you want. Small little optimization.
This book puzzle without messing it up here.
Yes, another children's puzzle. Let's see if Chimkin can nail it. Alright, so we got a right, left, up, down, left, right, down, up, left.
Got it, I got it.
Ah, my distraction didn't work.
I was paying a lot of attention to it because I did not want to mess it up.
And in the meantime, we actually have some donations coming in if we have some time.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Pruden, after saying it in chat as well, donating $5, saying $5 dono train, pause champ, let's beat 3K. And then now another one by F-Boy, which is $25, saying quick last minute dono before I go to sleep. Loving Lego Potter, keep up the great work. Thank you very much, both of you. That's pretty amazing, puts us above 2,800, and yeah, have a good night as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I might have to hop on that $5 dono train.
Everyone get in on the donation train. While we still have some time left here. We got about 30 minutes left in the run. Maybe a little more than that. But yeah, pretty sure this didn't happen in the Booker movie, but I almost forgot about something out of that. Creating a cycle actually is like a pretty absurd amount of time. Stuck over there. How easily? Okay. There you are. That was interesting. Never seen a guy get stuck on that before. Do one for
Yeah, another boring boss fight to finish off a year in the Lego Harry Potter game. However, this one's a little more interesting. You have to like stand in the correct spots to effectively kill the Dementors coming in. So, you know, there you go. That's year 3.
Yep.
So another year done, and another donation part of the donation train by We Super, your commentator for this run, just saying yes. Thank you very much for that as well.
Yes.
Shoutouts to Justin.
Alright. And I'm excited for this next trick that we're going to get to see in 4-1. It's one of my personal favorite mechanics that exists in basically all LEGO games. And it's quite the discovery that was made a few months ago, but we'll explain it when we are setting up for it.
Yeah, because of course, since this is the first level of an episode, we have like a 2-minute cutscene to get through first. Yeah, these Lego games usually pull a lot of movies, which is nice. Makes them fun to run. You get to vibe out a little bit while you're playing the game.
Yeah, the music's great in these games. It's kind of jamming out as you're zooming through.
That is true, though. It does mean that every run we do gets claimed on YouTube.
Gets claimed 50 times.
Yep. I have a number of runs. I think 5 through 7. It gets blocked in like Korea, Iran, and like Cuba or something. You can view it everywhere else, but those countries can't.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's still copyright claimed everywhere, but it's specifically blocked in like a random countries around the world. A bit of murder showed off in Lego games right there. Be crazy. They got away with that.
I mean, there's some questionable cutscenes in Lego games for kids games. That's not even much compared to some other cutscenes in some other games.
So this level is the level, or the part of the story that takes place after the Triwizard Tournament match when the Death Eaters attack the camp. So everything before that is going to get handled in this cutscene, and the Death Eaters are going to attack the camp, and we're going to have to fight them.
Or Quidditch World Cup, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. What did I say?
Yeah, Triwizard Tournament.
Oh yeah, that happens later.
Yeah, this is Quidditch World Cup, Death Eaters attack.
Yeah. That's the name of the level, is Quidditch World Cup. I should have looked at my splits before I said that. So in this first room, we need to rescue, I guess spoilers, because the cutscene hasn't done this yet, but all our crew, other than Ginny and Hermione, are going to get captured by Death Eaters. So, first room we have to rescue 4 of them, and then the second room we'll rescue Harry. Or will we?
And it also seems like the donations are not stopping, because we have $37 from Mylan, who says, bringing myself up to an even 88, I mean $100, which is pretty insane, so shoutouts to Mylan.
Awesome. Alright, we got 2 people left to rescue here.
Yeah.
And there we go. And now is a trick I'm very excited for in this next room. So, like we said, we're supposed to rescue Harry in this next room, but we're not going to, because what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a pet warp to get out of bounds, because the origin just happens to be out of bounds. And once we're out of bounds, we're just going to be jumping into a random door outside the map that takes you to the castle. And this is a concept that originated in Lego Lord of the Rings, found by Los and Labafang, who are 2 glitch hunters in basically all Lego games, where they discovered in basically every room in every Lego game there exists a door that you can hit that will skip that room. And they're less common in the older games, such as the Lego Harry Potter game, but they still do exist, and he's about to do it. First try, hits the door, and it instantly takes them to the end of this level.
Yeah. So not only does that skip an entire room of puzzles, and it also skips a boss fight with Barty Crouch Jr. and 2 cutscenes. So that door saves an insane amount of time. It's really nice that we're able to hit that one.
Yeah, and the discovery of the concept of these out-of-bounds doors in general save hours over the span of all the existing Lego games. Obviously, there's only one that we're seeing in this run. We see them a bit more in Harry Potter 5 through 7. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them in that game, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an absolutely huge discovery that basically changed how every LEGO game was ran, including the 2 LEGO Harry Potter games. And that is an example of one of those out-of-bounds doors right there that literally just ends the level when you hit it.
Yeah. And that one's weird because it doesn't even end the level, because it doesn't play the end level trigger or the status screen at the end of the level. It just, like, sends you to after the level. Because this is the cutscene that plays after the level instead of the one that plays at the end of the level, which is really strange that that's what that does. But, I mean, we take it, because it saves more time because it does that instead of putting you at the end. I'm not mad. I'm pretty happy, actually.
And interestingly enough, those out-of-bounds doors are actually found using cheat engine. Basically, by searching through the memory addresses of the game, you can find the coordinates of various doors. And once you find the coordinates of the door in the map, you can then, find the door in the game. So there's kind of a whole process to finding them. Using cheat engine and looking at memory addresses to find the coordinates of these doors, because they're just kind of located in seemingly random spots. But anyways, now we're on to the aging potion lesson, which I did forget about. There's 2 lessons in year 4. I said there was 1, but there was 2. And this is the first one.
Luckily, that children's puzzle, you're not doing anything with the other players, so it's very easy to focus on that one.
And this lesson is actually pretty auto-scroller-esque, because we have to make these 3 potions down at the bottom, like a purple, a green, and an orange one. And most of this lesson is just kind of sitting here waiting for the potions and the animations of the potions to finish out. Like, player 2 is doing some other things, but you're always going to end up just waiting for player 1 at the end, just because of how long this potion puzzle at the bottom takes.
And all it is mixing primary colors here, the staple of the early LEGO games.
You gotta know your color wheel in the LEGO games, or you're gonna be in trouble. We have now made the aging potion.
We also, in the meantime, had another donation by Flo, $20, saying 3K pause champ, and that does put us actually kind of close to the 3K, so that is pretty pause champ indeed.
That's pretty awesome. Just $123 left. I'm doing that math correct.
Sounds right. Correct. I almost said 33, but it's definitely 23.
Oh, fun fact about this game, the cat actually has faster movement speed. We rarely do this in the run, because normally the rooms are so fast that it takes longer to put down the cat than it does to do the room with the cat. But that is one of the rooms where using the cat is fast, right there. That's actually the only one that I'm aware of. That saves like a second or something to do that room with the cat.
Yep, and this cutscene does not lead into a level, by the way.
No.
And this is a staple in year 4, where you will go to a location, watch a cutscene, and then you have to walk to the complete opposite side of the castle, watch another cutscene, and then you can enter the level. There's 2 instances where that happens in year 4. And year 4 is still the shortest year.
Yep. This year is like almost 10 minutes shorter than the other years. Actually, I think it's more like 7 or 8 minutes. No, it used to be 10, but more optimization.
Yeah, but this is the split for Dragons, the second level of year 4, and we actually enter the level like 3 minutes into the split. The first 3 minutes is just you walking around the castle and watching cutscenes. And the remaining like minute and a half of the split is actually playing the level, which, for the record, is one of the coolest levels in the game, so this will be a pretty exciting showcase. Hopefully. It is also a very hard level, so...
Yeah. Goes. Where I want to be. I think I'm 5 for 5 on the warps so far. I don't think I've missed one yet.
Yeah, I don't remember you missing any.
I only have one more left after this, on the way to the first task. It'll be pretty soon after. This is another incredibly broken level. I think there's like 5 or 6 skips in this level. But this first room is actually like massive, casually. But it's pretty short in the speed run. So this is a piece of tech that we only do here, but you can basically climb on top of this, which you're not supposed to be on, by forcing that egg.
Oh, nice.
I just skipped like half the room by jumping there. I'm gonna skip another puzzle.
And both these skips that he's doing right now are both one tries.
Yeah.
So very, very good that he got both of them.
If I miss that first jump I did from the after going on top of the egg, I actually have to restart the level because you're soft locked with that. The second one, you just lose like 20 seconds, but
Well, more than 20, but
yeah, you're right. It is more.
Yeah, so it's really important to make both those skips. So it's really good that he did. Now we have to do Lumos jump off the safe. A little bit trickier.
Jump there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't even stress how long that first room is supposed to be. There's like a puzzle with a xylophone. You're like doing all sorts of things. It's you have to mess with like 5 dragons in that first room. Whereas we messed with 0 dragons. It's actually going to be a solid split, other than missing that one jump twice. The rest of it was pretty good.
Yeah, but this is definitely a very stressful level if you're doing PB attempts, because obviously you're really far into the run, and there's 2 very difficult tricks, both of which easily lose over 30 seconds if you miss either of them. The first one, like you said, you have to restart the level. You can skip the cutscene when you come back, so I think it actually only loses like 20 for missed attempt on that one, but missing the second one loses like 35. So if you are on a good run, it can very easily die right here.
But luckily, once you get past dragons, there really isn't too many like run-killing things after this. There's still skips and there's still a bunch of strats, but that's like the last like scary level, I would say. Now on to the last lesson in the game, where we learn Reducto. It's just your standard destroy metal objects spell in like every LEGO game.
I would say this is probably the easiest lesson in the game. You're basically just running around blowing up some boxes. There's not really any technical movement or spell management or anything you need to do.
Yeah.
And it's super, super short too. And it's the same in Harry Potter 5 through 7. It's just because Reducto is such a simple spell and like, just how it works that I really can't see how they could make the lesson any more complicated than this. But you'll see that Chimkin's just gonna walk around with Reducto and just shoot all these metal pieces.
That's the whole lesson.
Yep.
So we're now getting to the actual Triwizard Tournament part of this movie. We have 4 levels left in the run. Also 4 splits left. 3 of them are going to be the 3 tasks. And we have a filler split for, or filler level for figuring out the egg in the bathroom. Which I think was, they just didn't know what else to do with that last level, so that's why they put that there.
Yeah, and yeah, like I was saying, you could tell that they were kind of desperate for content in this game for year 4. Obviously I am not factual about this, but if I had to make a rough estimate, almost positive that this episode has the highest percentage of walking through the castle compared to all of the other years. But here we go. This is called Loopy Skip, named after the person who found it, named Loopy. And it looks like Chimkin got it with no issues. You kind of jump up some glitch collision there, and that skip can be really annoying. But he got it with no issues. Now we have a couple tricky Lumos jumps, which unfortunately missed one there. Let's see if we can get it second try. No? How about third try? There we go.
Kind of a tricky one. I struggled with that one quite a bit, actually. Pretty,
Yeah, but this is a really awesome first room. Lots of cool Lumos jumps and tricks. Here we go, final one right here. Jump on the flag, hit some invisible collision to get up top and reach the egg.
This is another one of those rooms where you just skip everything that they have for you to do. I don't think you do anything the intended way in that room. Oh, there's one. You do the barrel to put out the fire. But everything else you skip. And then we have a auto-scrollery end section. I guess the first room was too short on its own. There are some strats you can do in this room, involving trying to manipulate your second player into dying, and sometimes they like respawn in front of you, but this is mainly just running away from the dragon here.
And generally this kind of marks, once you finish that room, the first room of the first task, it kind of marks the end of like the really mechanically difficult and stressful part of the run. The last 3 levels of the run are generally considered to be pretty consistent and pretty easy. That doesn't mean there's not cool tricks in them. We're gonna still get to see some cool out of bounds tricks in the 4-5. But generally the last 3 levels are pretty consistent. And you'll see right there that the CPU actually died and respawned in front of us. So we were able to switch to kind of make up a little bit of ground.
Sometimes you can make, like, it's some pretty long, like, respawns way in front of you, but it's pretty much just random how far ahead of you he spawns, and or if he even spawns ahead of you. So I only got it to happen there once. I know you can get it more than once.
I presume there might be some kind of way there to consistently make him spawn really far in front, but I don't think anyone has really looked into it too much. But generally we just kind of run down the auto-scroller and pray that our CPU spawns far in front of us to cut off as much distance as possible.
I'm for the egg level. Well, actually not yet. We have like 2 minutes of walking through the hub first.
Yeah, like I said, this is the second of 2 times in year 4 where we're just going to be doing an obscene amount of walking through the castle.
I would say this is probably the least broken level in this episode in any percent. Mostly because one of your 2 players in this level is Moaning Myrtle. He can't really do anything. But also because the rooms aren't really skippable. You just kind of have to do a big 1p2c in both of the rooms. But first we have to go talk to Cedric where he tells us to go to the bathroom.
And once again, to kind of highlight on the movement we're doing here, we spawned all the way in Gryffindor Common Room. We had to walk all the way out to this bridge. We watched the cutscene with Cedric, and now we have to walk all the way back to the bathrooms, which are on the complete opposite side of the school. They couldn't have put the cutscene any closer. Well, they could have, but they didn't.
To be
They
fair,
added
that is
all this
where he
extra
finds
movement.
out about it in the movie.
Yeah,
on
it
the bridge.
is accurate, I guess. But yeah,
yeah.
this is once again a lot of walking. And for a casual player, this would actually take a really, really long time, because normally the casual player follows that ghost of Nearly Headless Nick, and he moves very, very slow. So you just have to kind of mindlessly follow the ghost going at snail speed through like 10 rooms. But finally, we've made it into the level.
It only took about 1:50, but we're here now. And now we have to do some puzzles with Myrtle and Harry here. But this is a very not broken level. There is a strat to skip this first room in free play, but obviously we're not in free play. Not able to skip this first room. So, in control here, we'll just do 1PT1. Our goal here is to get these, like, 4 shells, and that opens up access to the second part of the bathroom, which is underneath this part for some reason. Don't know why that's where that's put, but you know.
And I think, you know, generally, I would say most 1P2Cs are harder than they look. This 1P2C is probably a lot easier than it looks. I think even someone who's a novice at 1P2C could probably do that one. This level is quite a simple one.
Yeah.
And this end room is basically entirely scripted, like with no time to gain or lose.
Yeah. You can't even. I don't even think there's anything that you can do simultaneously in this room. It's just all sequential.
Now, my second to last PB, I lost 1.5 minutes in this split, but it's just because I crashed.
Luckily, dying here doesn't matter because all I'm doing is waiting around for the mermaid to throw out pieces for a train. The train gives us a cloud, and the cloud we can throw into the painting to give her rain, not drown or suffocating air. I think that's the logic here.
Yep. And in exchange, she gives us a shower handle for our generosity.
Yeah. It's interesting because we're the reason that she lost her water, and she got mad at us and we fixed it for her, and then she helped us. Oh, whatever. Works for me, I guess.
Do we have another second for donation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool, because we've actually reached 2,900, which is pretty sick. We have Tatted Raven Barista coming in with $23, saying, come on, we can make 3K. And honestly, at this pace, I kind of start to believe that as well.
Got 2 more levels here to get in some extra donations.
Not much left, guys. Like, I don't know, 15 minutes or something?
Yep, something like that.
Alright, well, we are on to 4-5, the Black Lake, which is, I believe, the first example of a water level.
Yeah, it's the only water level in this.
Yeah, the only underwater level, and it's also one of the few levels that has true out of bounds in it. We have 2 out of bounds tricks that we're going to be doing to skip basically the entire level. But first, we got some sick parkour off the staircase.
That's such a fun jump to do. Alright. Yeah, this, water levels in LEGO games are pretty strange, and this one is no exception. There's a lot of puzzles they intend for you to do, but they didn't really make this level very well, and you'll see what we mean here in a second. Because it's actually, like, incredibly easy to get out of bounds in this level. First, we'll just kind of be going to the right here for a bit, because, like, no puzzles to skip towards the beginning. Get towards a spot we can use to get out of bounds, because we need, like, a sloped surface to break free of the column of water that we're in. Have one right here. We can just use knockback from targeting the other player with a spell. We push ourselves out of bounds, and there we are, we're out of bounds. Now we can just kind of walk on the edge like this, and jump into the column of water below. Skip the whole room.
Yeah, and you may notice while we are underneath the map here, there's kind of like random Lego pieces. There was a tree, and there's like these octopus tentacles, and there's just kind of random objects out of bounds. That's kind of a signature trait of being out of bounds in LEGO games, is that there's just a ton of random objects sitting out of bounds. Any interactable object in a LEGO game has a duplicate of it sitting out of bounds for some reason. I think it's just for a technical reason. But, so you'll end up seeing a lot of just random objects out, while you're out of bounds in LEGO games. And there's the second out of bounds right there. Same concept as the first one, just a little bit less attacks. And once again, doing that to skip the entire second room. And now into, in my opinion, one of my least favorite rooms in the entire run. And I think at least people would put this in their top 3 for worst rooms.
Yeah, this room is not great. This is the mermaid's room. Kind of infamous in this game, but mostly just because the mermaids are hard to kill. They get pretty... You can attack them, and they just kind of don't do anything. They just, like, they don't die right away, I guess. Didn't quite get that up there. That's unfortunate.
Looks like the mermaids are being pretty annoying right off the bat. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Wow, that mermaid is... Okay. That mermaid was being very kind for not attacking you.
Luckily, the only thing that you actually need to do... with Harry in the background is put the ball in place, and for the most part, enemies tend to prioritize attacking player 1. So player 2 can do most of the room, except for that one part. From the front.
Yeah, also you only had one mermaid spawn on Cedric's side, which was pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get 2 or 3 mermaids to spawn on Cedric's side, which is like bad RNG. I got like, but yeah, that ended up turning out pretty well. You got grabbed once with Harry, and that was about it. So pretty good. We got 1 level left.
Yep, last level of the run here. First we gotta climb to the top of the staircase to go into Dumbledore's office.
Oh, we're climbing up. Let's see if we can get some last second donations in, maybe. Hit that 3K. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a bunch of little puzzles here to climb all the way up to Dumbledore's office. And for this last one here, we're gonna do it. Hopefully, we'll be able to do a tiny optimization where you shoot the painting and then start running up the staircase early, and the staircase kind of rises up with Harry at the top of it, and we enter the final level.
So this is the maze portion of the Triwizard Tournament. Pretty straightforward. There is one skip in the middle. This level features the Sphinx from the book that did not make it into the film, but we skipped the Sphinx, so it doesn't really make it into the speedrun either.
And for the this level is, I believe, 6 rooms. So we got lots of rooms, and the first 3, I think, really highlight how good you need to be at spell management in order to do them quickly. You're going to be doing a lot of spell switching to build the statue and get the pieces for the statue and everything. So right here, you're going to switch to Immobilis to choose the Pixies, and then really quickly, as fast as you can, switch back to Wingardium. And then, like, while you're doing that, you're switching over to Lumos to complete all these puzzles as fast as possible. And the statue points you in the direction that you need to go once you shoot it, but obviously as speedrunners we know the direction that we need to go, so we don't need to wait for the statue, but we do need to activate it or the doors won't do anything.
Luckily it is the same way every time, so we don't need to even guess or anything. It's the same order for each of the 3 rooms. Well, it's a different order for each of the 3 rooms, but every time we play the level, for the most part, this part is straightforward, mostly just running past obstacles. This is the Sphinx part that we're going to skip. There's the Sphinx right there. It's supposed to become riddle, but Sphinx doesn't really have a lot of collision on it, so you can just kind of jump over it and go right to the cup, which takes us to the graveyard. We're actually coming up on time here for the end of the run. This is the last room coming up here.
Yeah, final room here, and this is just a test of how fast can you mash the attack button. Yeah, this room is super short, which is kind of anticlimactic because this is the Voldemort fight, but this room is like less than 30 seconds. And then it'll be the end of the run.
Actually, control here in a second. I forgot how long this cutscene was.
You're just spamming as fast as possible to kill the Death Eaters, and then spamming as fast as possible to win the spell fight against Voldemort. Time comes up on the final hit here.
Yep, probably coming up in about 10 seconds. And time. Cool. Looks like that's a 4706 RTA. Pretty good run for no reset for sure.
Yeah, that was a really cool run to watch as well. It was really, really fun. So thanks for being part of this. Thanks for running in this.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I know Lego is a little more removed from the rest of the Harry Potter, but I really appreciate you guys having me and Frost out for this marathon. It was really fun to run. Nice.
Yeah, it's always great to have the Lego games in.
Alright, well, I think that does it for us. If you guys want to take over for the closing, this is the end of the run here.
Yeah, sure. I think we're gonna go into like a very tiny transition. I'm not sure how Marlon is on the setup, but it's just gonna be a very small one, and then just some final words to wrap up this marathon. But this was indeed the final run of the day. But you know, if people want to chill a bit while we talk over, you know, how the marathon went or worked out, then definitely stay for a bit longer. So see you in a little bit after just a very tiny transition.